Amazon has said that they are bringing Lord of the Rings in line with other productions that they have that already shoot in the UK, and that they're sort of trying to build up their production presence there and streamline everything. We have also heard that part of the reason for their departure might be down to New Zealand's COVID response, which obviously has been excellent, but part of the way that it's responded to COVID has been to require people coming from overseas to spend 14 days in managed isolation, and that's typically at their own expense. So this is expensive for production companies. It adds time. It's sort of onerous. That may be part of the reason too.
Well, filming of the first series in New Zealand has just wrapped up. Tell us a bit more about what it's been like. It's created a very large production presence, particularly in and around Auckland. So Amazon's established a really large production hub there. It's essentially taken over some of the biggest filming studios in Auckland. Thousands of people on the ground filming. It's sort of its own like small city almost, or its own community there. Well, New Zealand must be feeling pretty disappointed then about production moving to the UK. What's it set to lose? It has brought a huge amount of money into the country. So the first season is estimated to have brought in about $650 million. The government has paid back some of that in the form of a rebate. So you might have heard people discussing the New Zealand Screen Production Grant. That's 20%. It's a 20% rebate on every dollar spent in New Zealand. The government's added another 5%, but still, take away 25% of $650 million, and it's still a lot of money that it's brought into the country. It's also created a lot of jobs for New Zealand cast and particularly crew, and it's also supported other local businesses. So like I said, there have been thousands of people around this production hub who have been supporting businesses there. There have been New Zealand contractors, hire companies, trucking firms, all that kind of thing. So it stands to lose quite a lot in the way of investment in the country. And also reputation as well, because, of course, New Zealand was chosen as the place for filming Lord of the Rings series. Yeah, I think that's something that there is some concern about, that it will reflect badly on New Zealand, that such a large-scale production and such a sort of feather in the cap of the New Zealand production industry has chosen to move offshore. So what's been the reaction from the cast and crew to the news? Some real devastation, I think, on the part of the cast and crew. They only learned about the production leaving New Zealand about 20 minutes before Amazon sent a press release. So they hadn't had much time at all to sort of process this news before it was really everywhere being reported in the media. We're hearing that there was no inkling, there were no rumours floating around that the production was going to move offshore for season 2. So it came as a real shock, and it has also, it's meant that people who thought that they had another, maybe 18 months of work lined up now suddenly don't. It does have a real practical effect for those people, but it's also emotionally a hard thing to suddenly have this dropped on them. At the same time, there are some members of the production community who feel that there could be an opportunity here, because Amazon had, as I said earlier, Amazon had taken over all of the studio space and was really monopolising a lot of the infrastructure in New Zealand. There might now be an opportunity for other big international productions to come in and create some other opportunities too. Meanwhile, what difference will it all make to fans, especially those who live in the area? I think for people who live in the area, they'll notice the absence of such a large-scale production. Certainly some local businesses will really notice the absence of the very large production crew. For fans, I think there is kind of this feeling now, after all of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies, that New Zealand sort of is Middle Earth. So it's a bit of a blow to have the Lord of the Rings TV series leave our shores. Indeed. Emily Brookes, thank you so much for talking to us tonight. Thank you.